Have you ever stopped to think that maybe your whole life, everything you do, everything you become, could all come down to just one thing? The size of your thoughts? It's a huge idea, right? So let's dive into this profound difference and see how it actually shapes our reality.
At its core, it really breaks down pretty simply. On one side, you've got the small mindset. This is the mindset that lives inside the box, limited by whatever circumstances it's handed. It just follows the crowd. And honestly, it often leads to a life of feeling like there's never enough. But then, you've got the big mindset. This is all about seeing a world full of abundance, creating your own opportunities instead of waiting for them, and forging a path that's uniquely yours. And these aren't just, personality quirks. They are the engines that drive our entire lives. To really get a feel for the power of this, there's nothing better than a good story. So we're going to look at this parable about an eagle, which, it perfectly captures this battle between who we truly are and what our environment tells us we're supposed to be. Our story kicks off with a simple twist of fate. A farmer finds an eagle's egg. Just one, and maybe he meant well, who knows, but he places it in a chicken coop, right there with all the other chicken eggs. It's kind of like a king's child being placed in a commoner's cradle from birth. So what do you think happens? Well, the egg hatches, and this tiny little eagle opens its eyes for the very first time, not to the wide open sky, not to a nest on a high cliff, but to the dirt floor of a chicken coop, surrounded by a bunch of chirping chicks. From its very first breath, its whole world is defined by what's around it. And so it believes without a single doubt that it's a chicken. And its behavior? It was a perfect copy of its surroundings. It ate the same chicken feed, scratched around in the dirt just like them, and when it tried to fly, it was this clumsy little flutter, a few feet off the ground, just like every other chicken. It completely absorbed their limitations and made them its own reality. But here's the thing, you can't suppress who you are forever. And one day, a single moment comes along, just a glimpse of something else, that has the power to shatter this whole illusion. So the young eagle is down there, living its chicken life. And for some reason, it just happens to look up. And what it sees absolutely takes its breath away. High above, there's this incredible, majestic bird just gliding on the wind, a picture of pure power and freedom, totally commanding the sky. It's the first time it has ever seen anything like it. It's just filled with awe, and it turns to one of the other chickens. Can you just imagine the wonder in its voice when it asks that question? It's this moment of pure curiosity, like a little spark, a flicker of recognizing something that it doesn't even know it has inside itself. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, the chicken's answer. The chickens, they know exactly what it is. They call it the eagle, the king of birds. They see it as this powerful, amazing thing, but in the very next breath, they build a wall. He is untouchable, they say. We can never be like him. They admire it, sure, but they immediately put a hard limit on themselves. And then comes the final blow. This is the voice of that small mindset, the voice of the crowd, spelled out loud and clear. It's not just a thought, it's a direct order. Don't forget you are a chicken. Stay where you belong. Don't dream big. Don't even think about it. This was who you are, period. But that little spark of curiosity was just too strong. The eagle ignores them, and it tries. It gives it one real, powerful shot at flying high. And it fails. It just tumbles right back down to the ground. And the reaction from the others? They laugh. They ridicule it. The group punishes the one who tried to be different. And that's the tragic end of the story. That one failure, combined with all that social pressure, that was enough. The eagle just gives up. It accepts the identity the chickens gave it and lives out the rest of its days on the ground, never ever knowing what it feels like to soar. A king who died believing he was a peasant. What a powerful and kind of heartbreaking story, right? But the real value here isn't in the tragedy. It's in the incredible lesson it holds for every single one of us. Because this story, it isn't really about birds. It's a mirror. It's reflecting our own potential and the beliefs that can keep us grounded. So what it all boils down to is this idea of perspective. Think of it like a lens, a filter you wear over your eyes that shapes everything you see. It's more than just thinking positive. It's the deep down belief system that decides what you'll even try to do, what you think is possible, and in the end, what your life actually becomes. Look, the connection here is crystal clear. It's a straight line. If your internal story, what you believe about yourself, is that you're a chicken, then your external reality is going to be a life spent scratching in the dirt. But if you dare to believe you're an eagle, well, you open up the possibility for a life of soaring.
Okay, so this brings us to the most important part of this whole thing, actually applying the lesson. It's about taking this story and using it to recognize the eagle that's inside you. So how do we do that? How do we find our inner eagle? Well, this gives us a great roadmap. First, you've got to recognize your inherent potential. The eagle was born an eagle. That potential was always there. It was just buried. We all have abilities that exist no matter what our current situation looks like. Second, we have to think bigger than our immediate surroundings. That means consciously looking outside our own little chicken coop, our daily routines, our usual social circles, and finding new inspiration. Then, and this is a big one, we have to stop underestimating ourselves. That one failed flight convinced the eagle it couldn't fly, but it was born to. We do that all the time. We let one setback define our entire limit. And finally, maybe the toughest step of all, we have to actively challenge the limiting beliefs of others, and more importantly, the ones we've started to believe ourselves. Those chickens, they weren't evil. They were just speaking their reality. We have to learn to tune out that chorus that's always telling us to stay on the ground. In the end, it really all comes down to this powerful, simple idea from our source material. This isn't just a nice little quote. It's a call to action. It's a challenge to embrace who you really are and live up to everything you can be. And so, we end right here with the one question this story forces every one of us to ask ourselves. We are all born with the potential of an eagle, but our environment, our experiences, our fears, they can all convince us we're just chickens. The key takeaway is this: every single day, you get to choose which voice you're going to listen to. So, what's it going to be?